Hi everyone, welcome to Potluck Food Talks. Today we have a new episode of The Line, where human misery can be funny.
Where we laugh about our own trauma and the trauma of other people. So, what else is there? What other depths of your psyche haven't you unveiled to us?
Have you ever been in a restaurant where in the middle of service, the restaurant runs out of electricity or gas or these kind of things, these kind of situations?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just very recently.
Very recently.
Yes, actually, yes. Last year, I helped out in a restaurant. It's a very great restaurant with really good chefs. They do great food. And they were in an old building. It used to be a pharmacy, like a really old pharmacy, like with like glass bottles and stuff. And the building is really cool because like the downstairs area is like old cellars where they used to like mix the medicine and shit.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not really a building for a restaurant. So if you have a small kitchen with loads of electronics running at the same time, a dishwasher, several fridges, some freezers, an oven, 2 ovens, a stove, etc., it's a lot to take for an old house. So the electricity used to, I think, break once every day. And then most notably, one time it was just an absolute shit show because we're in the middle of busy service, super, super busy. And the electricity just goes, which also means the extraction went. No more extraction.
Oh, fuck.
So it just kind of like, it's like a domino effect. The light goes, we're like, shit, okay, anyway, we keep going. Then the extraction goes, the restaurant starts filling up with smoke from the grill, and then the fire alarm starts going off. It's like fucking, it's just mayhem. And the guests are sitting there in a dark restaurant with the waiters lighting candles, filling up with smoke. And then suddenly the alarm goes off. They're like, should we stay? Should we go? What is it? Oh man, that place was a nightmare.
Well, that happened to me when I was in Mugaritz. It ran out of, back then, this was before the fire. The kitchen worked with gas back then. And the kitchen ran out of gas in the middle of service. So there was like this charcoal grill outside the restaurant. And can you imagine in the middle of service, people queuing with their pans for to cook those things on open fire? Okay, I'm next. No, please let me go first.
That's really funny.
And everything was managed so that no guest perceived any difference, which was absolutely crazy.
Yeah, that's really crazy. Do you think that was the moment where Andoni thought to himself, that's it, I'm going to set fire to this restaurant to renovate it?
Probably.
Maybe I shouldn't have said that. Leave it in. Let the truth come out. Everybody knows anyway.
Yeah, I heard a story of a guy that was there during the fire. And how was the story? It was something like, yeah, there was someone, because, like in Mugaritz, at least back then, you had like on the second floor, there was like the apartment for stagiaires.
Yes.
And of course, if the restaurant burns, you're in the same house that is burning.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the middle of the burning, there was one of the stagiaires that was super drunk.
Of course.
And so they brought him down to the street and he was like completely drunk. And the next day when he woke up, he was like, man, I had this crazy dream that the restaurant was on fire.
Yeah.
Talking about misery or miserable stories and stagiaires. I was recently speaking with a friend and he tells me this story that he was working at this restaurant that was kind of like this hotel restaurant that sometimes the hotel restaurant is on the rooftop. And then you have maybe a kitchen on the 5th floor and, like a storage room on the basement, these kind of things, right? So they had like a production kitchen and different floors, not in the restaurant. And there was this, when a trainee comes with an attitude like, okay, and I'm only allowed to work 4 hours and here's my permission, so you need to leave me go. And these kind of things.
Yeah.
I mean, if you come with that attitude to a top level restaurant, don't expect to have a nice experience. I don't know how to put it.
Yeah.
So apparently this guy had super hairy arms. So they would be like the chef would tell my friend, like, where's this guy? Don't let him go to the kitchen where the customers can see him. Because this was a thing. One day, someone found a hair in a dish. And everybody turned to the hairy arms, and it was you, you stupid fuck.
The poor guy.
So they never allowed him to go to the service kitchen again, only the production kitchen. And they would make him wrap his arms in plastic film. So then it was always like, every time we went, hey, today I need to go 1 hour early. Okay. Wrap your arms and go to your corner and everything is going to be all right.
Oh, that's really mean. Well, I have a different story about somebody wrapping himself in cling film. So one of the very first kitchens that I worked in was this like very French Michelin star kitchen. And they had the tradition, like many other kitchens that, old school kitchens anyway, that when you leave after a certain amount of time, that you get hazed, you get food thrown at you, sauces, whatever, you get maybe picked up and put in the sink. Sounds very mean. Often wasn't mean, actually. It was just like a rite of passage kind of.
Yeah.
Because if the team didn't like you, you'd really usually just go and nobody would do anything because everybody's like, fuck this, But if they really liked you, they would anyway. And so this guy, he had finished his apprenticeship and he knew he was very liked. He was a very likable guy. And he was like, on his last day, he was like, man, I don't know, man, what am I going to do? It's going to be awful. It's going to be horrible. Just kind of smiling to himself. And all the chefs, even though they were just like on their station, like prepping, you knew they had prepared for the day. They had collected and accumulated several things. They had an arsenal ready, hidden away in their fridges. And so this guy, everybody was waiting for him to come up for his last shift. And he comes up the stairs from the prep kitchen and he's wrapped himself head to toe in a sort of makeshift armor that he's made out of plastic wrap, aluminum tinfoil, cardboard, like a plastic lid.
Ready, guys.
A plastic lid from a bucket as a shield, like fucking RoboCop. Just came into the kitchen and everybody looked at him. They were all these they always tried to be really mean and mean looking, these guys, but they just all started cracking up and he was like, okay, I'm ready. Here we go. And they just went ham on him, and it was just very funny, very, very funny. I think that's a great last day to have as an apprentice. Then
you want to talk about when you threatened to punch me in the face? You want to talk about that, Phil? Do you remember that?
No, I don't. I remember that I did that, but I don't remember what the reason was. I think it was the beetroot cubes. Was it the beetroot cubes?
No, I have actually told this story at job interviews.
No, really?
Yeah, really. I promise.
Oh, no.
They have asked me could you share an experience of a complicated moment you had to handle?
Oh, no.
Yeah. We were in the dishwasher pit, I don't know, washing some things. And I also have to put in context. Phil back then was an apprentice and he was 17, 18 years old, something like that.
Yes.
And he would get money on street fights on the weekend with Albanese mobsters.
I would always lose. So I was broke.
So it was not kind of the person I would want to get into a fight. So, and there were these glasses in a corner, and I tell you, yeah, you have to put the glasses wherever. I just gave you an instruction. The glasses have to go there in the shelf in the back or something like that. And you started to question it, no, but they shouldn't go there because blah, blah, blah. And I told you, could you please put the glasses there? And you said, no, but the chef there, blah, blah. And I said, put the glasses where I'm telling you. And at some point, you got over my patience. And I said, was like, exactly. This was a big misunderstanding. I wanted to say, put it on the shelf and don't say anything or don't say nothing. But apparently what you understood was, put it on the shelf, you are nothing. And then the mood completely changed and you were, what the fuck, man? What the fuck? You know?
Oh, no.
You ever talk to me like that again, I'll fucking punch you in the face. And I was like, I had to, like, think fast, do something, and I put something in your chat, like, here, watch this and shut up. That's what I did.
And it worked, it worked.
Yeah, you were like, okay.
Man,
I also threatened to punch someone in the face once.
Yeah. To my defense, it's hard being a young, like, apprentice, and everybody always is like, like, hey, do this, do that, And I remember because it was like I was not really somebody who, like, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that I was somebody who argued a lot with people. Like, if somebody told me to do something, I wasn't like, yeah, but no. Yeah. And I remember actually
exactly, but that time you really got into a loop of no.
Yeah, just because the head chef, he'd like talked about it like very recently, and I was like, but he just said, But you were right, in that moment, I should have just been like, yeah, whatever, it's. I'll just do it. But I remember I had 2 moments like that in that restaurant. And one was like also where this guy came in that we both know, Max. And he was my new chef de partie on the garde-manger, on the starter section. And he would just like, I had worked there for like a year and a half, something like just over a year, something like that. And he would come in, like be there for like 2 weeks and be like, no, this is completely wrong. And I'm like, well, like, I get it, man. You're a trained chef. I'm not yet, but I've been here for a year and we've always done it like this. And the owner and chef said to do it like this every single time. No. There's like, for example, this celeriac puree. I really remember.
That thing. Yeah, I also remember that. That guy was really interesting in a negative way.
In a negative way,
he had been like in places and he was like kind of like methodic and disciplined, but with the wrong approach. Like he would, follow processes, but the wrong processes.
Yeah.
He would take the time or use a thermometer or whatever, but that celeriac puree, the one he cooked, tastes like shit.
Yeah.
And man, it's easy to do a nice celeriac puree, It's something super easy. It's like 2 steps. That's it,
Yeah, the thing is that in this restaurant, the celeriac puree, it was a very vegetable-focused restaurant. And the celeriac puree was meant to be very light. You cook a very intense celeriac stock out of all the trim of the celeriac and celery. And then you sweat down the celeriac, you add the stock, at the very end, you add a minimal amount of cream. And then you blitz it. And it was like very light, very intense. And this guy, he just...
delicious.
Yeah. And this guy, he just took the celeriac, filled it up with cream, pure cream, reduced it down to the bottom, and then blitzed it. And it was like super heavy and like...
And it was like brown and it didn't taste like celeriac, like some caramelized cream. It was disgusting.
Yeah, it really was disgusting. Like I'd be like... And I was like, man, this is like really not how anybody here has ever done it. And like, I know I'm very young and inexperienced, but I know that this is not how we do it here. And he was like, nah, man, you don't know anything. And then a couple hours later, the head chef is like, tries the puree. And he's like, what the fuck? What the fuck is this? This is shit.
Well, that guy got fired a few weeks later.
Yeah.
I remember I also had like a confrontation with him. He once like got into my station and started like changing my things where they are, and he started like he would come into my station and start plating my dishes and tell me how to do that. And up to one point, I really screamed at him like, "Get the fuck out of my station!"
Yeah. He was horrible.
Everybody got quiet in the middle of service, and everybody turned around. You don't let anyone get into your station, man. You just don't.
No, that's a no-go. You used to come in late, like an hour late, and just come in like with a coffee in his hand. And I'd already like be like prepping on the section, and he'd just come in and be like, "What is this shit? And what is that shit?" And and you'd always be like, "Oh fuck, like, fuck it, fuck my life, And I'd be like, man, fuck off, Like, and I remember like one time he came in, like, and he was like 2 hours late, and the same thing comes in, like he's the fucking owner of the restaurant or whatever, and he just looks at what I'm doing and he's like, oh, fuck me, like fucking hell. And I remember I had enough. I just put my shit down and I was like, man, and I was about to like talk to him, and then another apprentice, she like stepped in front of me and she was like, okay, let's just calm down. And she took him outside and she was like, and she actually said to him, she was like, hey, if you're not careful, this guy's going to punch you in the face if you keep going like this, like this is not okay. Yeah. And he got fired a couple of weeks later, and he came out of the office and he was like, I really don't know what's going on.
I don't get it. Yeah. What did I do?
Yeah.
Fucking idiot. I remember another one, similar thing, punching in the face and getting into your station, those keywords. Yeah. I was working in this restaurant, and there was like the head waiter was like this, again, like this bully guy that would be moody all day, and everybody had to be a recipient of his mood, whatever it was that day.
Yeah.
And I was head chef in that place, and I was in the kitchen. There were like 3 cooks, whatever. And he would always mess with everyone, with the cooks, with the dishwasher, with everyone, until that point, I never had a problem with him. And the guy comes into the kitchen, and for whatever reason, and the guy was Italian. And later when we settled up the things, he told me like, it wasn't meant to anyone. It's just a matter of temperament. And I was like, okay, I don't give a shit. But, and I think he truly meant that it was not personal with anyone, but he had like a bad moment. He got into the kitchen and started screaming like, everybody in this restaurant are fucking idiots. Everybody are idiots, fucking idiots. And he left, and we were cooking. This guy enters, start screaming like that, like crazy, leaves. And, it leaves like this vibe among everybody. Like, what the fuck just happened? Why does he, like it was really, not nice. Mm-hmm. So, and then like 5 minutes later, the guy comes in again, like just like nothing ever happened. And he was like, I don't know, grabbing some bread, trying to eat something. And he was just chewing the bread. He had it in his mouth. And I look him in the face, and I told him, you ever talk like that in my kitchen again, I'll fucking smack you in the face. He was like, But is it serious? I'm fucking serious. And he left, and we had to talk a few days later about it. But yeah, like never something like that happen again. You have to, show your stereotype. How can you say that?
Terry. I don't know.
You have to make a point that that's your space, that you are setting the tone in that space, and you can't allow someone external to come and act like that. In my opinion.
Yeah. In general, I think like a kitchen, like when we often talk about it being like a closed off environment, like a parallel universe, like a different world. That often makes people kind of act in a way where they wouldn't necessarily act in a real world. Because if you are above somebody in a hierarchy, you're the boss. It doesn't just happen in the kitchen. But you think that because people are working under you in this system, that you somehow have more of a right to act in a way that's not okay. It's not okay to treat another human being like that, And it's kind of like, well, Think about if you're on the street, and you just like start shouting at random people like, you are fucking idiot and you're fucking idiot. You're going to get punched in the face.
Yeah, exactly. It's not my problem that you're having a rough moment.
Nobody gives a shit.
Go to the fucking toilet, squeeze a tangerine and leave me alone,
Exactly. And, it's the same thing. At some point, you're going to get a reality check because newsflash, everybody's fucking stressed out. Everybody's working hard. You're not a special fucking snowflake.
Exactly. You're not that special.
That's it for this week's episode of Potluck Food Talks. If you like what we're doing, make sure to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. You can also find us on Instagram and TikTok as Potluck Food Talks. The show airs every Monday.